This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN.Network. And joining me today is Greg Crawford. He is the chairman and CEO of Protech Home Medical Corp. It's a publicly traded company. I got two symbols for you: PTQ on the TSX Venture and PTQQF on the OTCQX. Greg, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it, Robert.
I appreciate you taking the time to do this. This is the first time we're getting to chat. I've been following the company for a while, so this is good stuff.
Yeah, good.
All right. So I want to start off with a quick overview and history of the company, and then we'll go into some follow-ups from there.
Yeah. So Protech Home Medical is a full-service, durable medical equipment company. All of our operations are in the U.S., and we place medical devices inside patients' homes, and that so primarily with a focus on respiratory devices such as home ventilators, home oxygen products, sleep devices. So the company's been around in that since about went public in 2010. Got very active in the acquisition market, and that in 2012. And then from there, and that there was I joined the company in 2015. And that I had a private company in that I had sold at the time to Protech. The company went through a restructuring in that from 2016 to 2017 timeframe. I was in charge of one of the divisions there as the COO. When the company restructuring was finalized in December of 2017, I was appointed chairman of the board and CEO at that time. So, and that's when we were really off to the races here, and kind of why we're here today to kind of talk about some of the great things we have going on and the results we've delivered.
I mean, yeah, let's get into that because I mean, just to quickly comment, I mean, every company is impacted by COVID and the pandemic, but it seems like you guys are more or less essential services for what's happening. I mean, home ventilator services. I mean, with hospitals overloading, people are being told to either just stay home or go home. So they might need ventilator services. So, I mean, I'm sure that's impacted you guys greatly.
Yeah, absolutely. And that we've gotten some tailwinds of the COVID. It's very unfortunate that all the loss of life and all the patients that have, fallen ill in that COVID-19 and that, but we've really been on the front lines of this, and we've helped those healthcare systems, help those physicians, and that really keep their most vulnerable in that out of hospitals, long-term care facilities by being able to treat those patients in their home with, we've seen an uptick in our home oxygen business, our home ventilation, other pieces of medical equipment that we carry, and that also in that to, really take care of those patients inside their home, and that's what we do. And that, so the COVID has really just kind of brought that home health care and that to the forefront and that and show that important role.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, we're thankful for services like you that can actually provide these types of products and services for people that, with overloading hospitals and just at least to be comfortable at home. I mean, it's an unfortunate thing that we're all in, but it's at least, it's just good that there's services like yours out there at the end of the day.
Yes.
So with that, let's get into some of the company performance. The company reported a second quarter fiscal 2020 financial results. And would you say, from what you can tell us, has that momentum continued into Q3? And can you elucidate on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So we had some great organic growth in that from Q1 to Q2. Our fiscal year ends 9/30, so we're in our Q3 now in that. So like I had mentioned before in that, just kind of the tailwinds of the COVID-19 and everything in that, we're expecting that we're going to put together another nice strong quarter in that for Q3, and that we expect to likely be releasing typically like we do in that mid to late August. So very excited about the quarter.
Got it. And how would you say your company is unique and different compared to some of your peers out there? Because I'm assuming there's other companies that are also providing similar services out there.
Yeah, so one thing unique about us in that really is patient service, in that this is a heavy service model business, in that in exceeding the expectations of your referral sources being those physicians and hospitals, and really caring for the patients, teaching them how to use their devices, and that being there when you need them. That's really our market differentiator, in that they can go anywhere and get the home oxygen devices, but it's really that service component at the time they're set up and then after and that for the care for that patient to keep them the ongoing services.
You know, as you stated earlier, that the company's really been on the front lines right now, especially in COVID, but even pre-COVID, what were some of the trends that you're starting to see as it relates to home healthcare?
Yeah, so I mean, really just the patients, the need for services and that with 10,000 people turning 65 or older every day in the US and that expected for the next 15 years, just picking up on those tailwinds, we're just seeing continued demand in that for the product. And then also with the clinical services that we provide along with the devices for our ventilation, our home oxygen therapy, sleep devices, and that we've really created, a world-class organization in that to back those patients.
Got it. And I have to ask, who's the target addressable market right now? Are you guys just focused in the US or North America or even globally?
Yeah, have been primarily focused all in the US.
Got it. Okay. So then my next question then is on the heels of closing a $31.8 million financing, from what you can tell us, how do you envision the next 12 months? Do you expect, because you also mentioned that I think in a previous press release about doing some M&A activity. So do you expect that to also pick up as well?
Yeah. So we, prior to the pandemic in that, we had some deals that we were working on. They were kind of smaller in nature and things, and the pandemic and that had really kind of put things on hold, but we've really started seeing the M&A market and that really pick back up. And that, as we, kind of come into the summer months here, and that we have some deals that we're working on. We've got a pretty active M&A pipeline right now. So, I mean, we really expect that to get very active, especially into the second half of 2020.
And you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but what's your background? I mean, how did you come into all this and Protech find you, you find Protech, what happened?
Yeah. So I've been in the industry about 25 years and that, I mean, my background is really DME operations and taking care of patients and that, I always like to tell people on the investor side, I'm not, being a public company, I'm not, finance background or anything, but I do know how to operate the business and that. So that's really been my business. I grew up in this business, started out for a small pharmacy that had a DME and had the opportunity to that become a partner in that back in the mid 90s and really took advantage of that, just grew that business and, exponentially. And ended up selling to Protech in 2015 and now sitting here in 10 states with over 40 locations and leading a team of over 400. So
fantastic. So my next question is I want to educate our audience a little bit more about the ventilator market because especially with the breakout, we're hearing okay, they're opening this plant to produce this many ventilators and this so what's some of the I guess I would say some of the regulatory processes involved and necessary to make sure that not just your ventilator, but any ventilator is available for medical use?
Yeah, so they have to, they'll have to get all cleared by the FDA and that as far as getting their vents approved in that. We're not on the manufacturing side, so I couldn't get too granular with that. But I know that all of those devices and that, would have to be FDA approved for their particular use. The home ventilators that we use in that are kind of multifunction in that. They have different functions. They can be used in a hospital setting, a home care setting. They're primarily designed for a home care setting.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I mean, you guys were kind of prepped and ready to go if for, some reason that did happen, pandemic were to break out like this. I mean, you guys had the ventilators, you had all the regulatory, everything really ready to go. I mean, so what I take me back. I mean, everything has the breakout, like what happened March 11th, president makes a speech. We need more ventilators. Like what happened in the company? I mean, I'm sure it was crazy times.
Yeah. Well, we provide all of our services. We provide really home care based in that patient services and that. So we really started preparing for the pandemic and that going back to like mid-February as we, started getting information, from the CDC and things like that and then hearing what was going on in other parts of the world from our manufacturers and that. So we really started increasing our inventory purchases and that for items that we felt and that we're going to have problems potentially getting later on in that. So that was probably one of the best things that we did. We also spent a substantial amount of time educating and protecting our employees, reviewing all of our policies, making adjustments to those and that, because that was the, one of the most important things for us is protecting our team. And, making sure and that they had the proper PPE, they were using it properly and everything. And that's something that we continue to do, and that we have a resilient staff here, and that's done a great job to get us through this pandemic and really even going into the second wave.
Got it. So we're recording this interview on July 9th, and on July 7th, the company just announced that it provides a corporate update as company positioned to accelerate growth, end quote. So this kind of ties into one of my last questions here is, from really what you can tell us, what's really your vision for the company now? I mean, I'm sure it's changed so much since with everything going on, but what is your vision now for the company for the rest of 2020, now moving into 2021?
Yeah, so we really started the end of last year in that with the company restructuring, and that we did not get to spend a whole lot of time on picking up on some of the organic growth opportunities in that. So we're really starting to see some of the fruits of the work that was done throughout 2019 and that, as far as adding additional sales representatives and doing different marketing things. We're really starting to see that hit the revenue side of things. So we know that's going to continue into 2019. And now with this most recent financing, that we're really going to get aggressive on the M&A side. And that, I mean, we're actively in that negotiating with companies and just continuously in that reviewing financials and signing NDAs. So we want to, continue to, drive this company, drive revenue, and continue to build a world-class organization.
Absolutely. Well, with that, where can my audience go and find everything they need to know about Protech?
Yeah, they can find us on the web at www.protechhomemedical.com.
Perfect. Well, Greg, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview today. I know you're very busy, and really thank you. Thank you for doing the work and being on the front lines, and really just, for lack of a better term, getting after it. We're both baseball fans, so I figured I'd throw a baseball phrase in there.
All right. Well, thank you. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.